Ethan Brooks had spent 7 years building his reputation as one of the most respected architects in Boston. His life followed the same predictable routine until Chloe entered it. She was a successful event planner with a warm smile, endless patience, and a personality that made everyone feel comfortable. Within 3 years, they had become the couple everyone admired. Their families had already discussed wedding dates, they had purchased an apartment overlooking the harbor, and Ethan had even designed the dream house they planned to build after marriage. Chloe celebrated every promotion, encouraged every dream, and never once gave Ethan a reason to question her loyalty. He believed he had finally found the woman he would grow old with. Everything changed on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon when Ethan received a voice note while reviewing blueprints at work. Smiling, he assumed Chloe had sent another sweet message, but the moment he pressed play, his entire world shifted. Instead of hearing her voice greeting him, he heard her laughing with an unfamiliar man. At first the conversation sounded harmless, but within seconds the stranger joked about how easily Ethan believed every excuse she invented. Chloe quietly laughed and replied, "He trusts me too much. He never notices anything." The recording ended abruptly, and only moments later she deleted it from the chat. Unfortunately for her, Ethan had already heard every word. Minutes later she called him, sounding completely normal, asking what he wanted for dinner as though nothing had happened. Ethan chose not to confront her. Instead, he decided to watch, listen, and wait. Over the following days, strange details began appearing everywhere. Chloe had started carrying a second phone that she never answered in front of him. She canceled dinner because of a corporate event that Ethan later discovered had been canceled days earlier. Every Thursday she left home 30 minutes early but never arrived at work before her usual time. One evening he quietly followed her, expecting to catch her with another man, but instead she entered an expensive law office and remained inside for nearly an hour. Curious, Ethan returned the next morning pretending to seek legal advice. During casual conversation, the receptionist accidentally revealed that Chloe had been visiting repeatedly regarding inheritance paperwork for an elderly businessman. The problem was that Chloe had never mentioned knowing any elderly businessman, and according to public records, the man had no living relatives. Before Ethan could understand what was happening, he received an anonymous text message containing only one sentence: "You're asking the wrong questions." Attached to it was a photograph showing Chloe comforting the same elderly millionaire outside a private hospital. Nothing made sense anymore. That night Ethan secretly searched Chloe's car while she was supposedly working late. Hidden inside the glove compartment was a sealed envelope containing photocopies of birth certificates, faded family photographs, handwritten notes with different surnames circled in red, and several pages that appeared to be part of someone's legal inheritance file. Before he could examine everything carefully, headlights suddenly illuminated the driveway. Chloe had returned home almost an hour earlier than expected. Ethan barely managed to put every document back exactly where he had found it before she walked inside smiling naturally, asking whether he wanted coffee. The following morning he secretly photographed everything from memory. 2 days later he hired a private investigator. The investigator's report made the mystery even stranger. Chloe had no criminal record, no suspicious financial activity, and no evidence of another romantic relationship. However, one detail immediately stood out. Her birth certificate had been legally reissued twice under completely different surnames nearly 15 years earlier. When Ethan demanded further investigation, the investigator unexpectedly canceled the case, refunded every payment, and quietly warned him to stop asking questions because some people were far more dangerous than they appeared. That warning stayed in Ethan's mind until another anonymous message arrived. This time it contained a phone number and a single instruction: call from a phone she doesn't know. Ethan used a public payphone the next afternoon. A woman answered immediately and whispered, "I've been waiting for you." Her name was Olivia. She explained that Chloe wasn't simply cheating on Ethan. She had spent years creating fake identities and manipulating wealthy elderly men into believing she was their lost relative so she could gain access to their fortunes. Ethan refused to believe something so unbelievable until Olivia emailed dozens of photographs taken over several years. Every image showed Chloe using different surnames, different hairstyles, and standing beside different elderly businessmen in different cities. Some photographs even showed forged family trees spread across conference tables. Ethan's hands trembled as he realized the woman he planned to marry had been living multiple lives long before she ever met him. Still hoping there was another explanation, he secretly followed Chloe one final time. Instead of meeting another lover, she entered a private hospital after visiting hours. Ethan watched through the hallway window as Chloe sat beside the elderly millionaire, holding his hand while tears streamed down her face. For one brief moment he questioned everything because the emotion looked completely genuine. Then another man entered carrying legal documents. Chloe instantly stopped crying, signed several papers, smiled confidently, and left the room laughing with him. Ethan finally understood that even her tears had been rehearsed. Only 2 days before the wedding, another anonymous package arrived at Ethan's office containing security footage from the law office. The video clearly showed Chloe replacing original inheritance documents with expertly forged copies while the attorney briefly stepped outside. There was no misunderstanding left. Ethan handed every recording, photograph, financial document, and video to investigators specializing in financial fraud. He told nobody else. On the wedding day, the church was filled with smiling guests, family members, and close friends celebrating what they believed would be the beginning of a perfect marriage. Chloe walked down the aisle wearing the dress Ethan had once dreamed of seeing her in. She smiled exactly the way she had on the day he proposed, and for one painful second Ethan wished every piece of evidence had somehow been wrong. Just as the officiant prepared to begin the ceremony, investigators quietly entered the church. The music stopped. The room fell completely silent as officers called Chloe by a completely different legal name and placed her under arrest in front of everyone. Shock spread across the guests while Ethan remained standing exactly where he was. Chloe slowly turned toward him, realizing he had uncovered everything. Instead of crying or denying the accusations, she smiled one final time and whispered, "You were never supposed to find out." Those were the last words Ethan ever heard from her. Months later, investigators uncovered millions of dollars in attempted inheritance fraud connected to multiple fake identities across several states. Ethan sold the apartment they had purchased together, canceled every wedding plan, and moved to another city to rebuild the life he almost lost. Years later, he admitted that the accidental voice note hadn't destroyed his future, it had saved it. Sometimes betrayal doesn't arrive with loud arguments or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it begins with a message that was never meant for you, followed by one secret after another until the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The people who smile the sweetest can sometimes hide the darkest intentions, and the most dangerous lies are often disguised as the perfect love story.